To be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
He had 4 grabs in the first half for just over 30 yards, was injured, came back in briefly, and then had to be carted off.
We were pessimistic on Puka Nakua's injury to the same right knee, of that being a nothing, just a bursa, and that's it, as per Sean McVay. We felt there could be a small PCL component.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Decisions. Little Queen's flavor, never hurt anybody. Kevin Walsh with you. It is Game Time Decisions right here, making it happen on a Thursday night as we kick off Week 6 of the NFL. We've got college football. We've got the WNBA Finals beginning. And we also have some more Major League Baseball with 2 teams having a chance to advance to face one another in the ALCS. It begins in less than 10. Detroit at home, a dog to the Guardians here. A big game with Cleveland needing to force a Game 5, which would be back in their building. If the Tigers win, they will play the winner of New York and Kansas City, which around 8 o'clock tonight, we will see Game 4 of that series. The Yankees tossing Garrett Cole. A win, and they will advance and play the winner of Tigers Guardians. You see that Yanks number above minus 150. Respect for Garrett Cole in the market, and I fully agree. Let's put a quick pick on the board for the people. Garrett Cole, over 17 and a half outs recorded at minus 110. Now, Cole missed this number in his first game of this postseason against these Royals. He threw 5. But he only threw 80 pitches. He went out there for the 6th, gave up a leadoff single, and due to the nature of the playoffs, they had to pull him back. I think tonight is a little different. The Yankees do have some insurance, which is Game 5 in their building. Now, you're not going to let a game get out of hand, but you're likely to trust your ace, your lead dog on the mound, a guy who has pedigree and wants the baseball. Factor in that Garrett Cole threw 6 or more innings in 7 of his last 8 starts in the regular season. And at minus 110, I think we're seeing a gift. I think Garrett Cole could be in line to toss a gem. The Royals lineup has been bad almost all postseason, and it was bad in September. Don't forget, they advanced due to the fact that the Orioles scored 1 run in those 2 games. Kansas City barely bested that. Look for Garrett Cole to throw at least 6 innings tonight here, going up against the Kansas City Royals. Now, from baseball to football in Seattle, it is a divisional matchup with the NFC West on full display. The Niners are a 3.5-point favorite on the road. Your total's at 49.5. It has been moving around a little bit, though, throughout the day. One of the key things for this football game, one of the big reasons you're seeing this total so high, injuries defensively. The Niners are still banged up. Yes, you're going to see Fred Warner out there, but he is not the only guy on that defense, and there are some pieces missing. But comparatively, this Seattle defense is as banged up as it gets. The entire linebacker room is injury, one already ruled out, and a few more could be coming. A pair of defensive tackles, their top corner, Enrique Woolen, as well as a questionable tag on Julian Love, their safety. This Seattle defense, which started the year so hot, has started to fall off in their most recent performances against the Lions. They'd allowed, my goodness, man, to think about it, Jared Goff, 18 for 18, 292 yards, shredded that team. They follow it up at home. Daniel Jones, he throws for 250-plus without Malik Neighbors. The Seattle defense is vulnerable, and it puts Brock Purdy in line tonight to have a possible big one. And with the Niners as favorites, they can start to now try and separate in the NFC West. And at minus 115, though, for the Niners, that separation would only be through the odds. If you look, a win here for the Niners would put them in front of Seattle on tiebreaker only. The fact that they would own that head-to-head win. They'd both be sat there at 3-3. While the Rams are at the bottom of the barrel right now, checking in at 1-4, the Arizona Cardinals, who just beat this San Francisco team, is another upset away from joining the Niners and the Seahawks, potentially at 3-3. So again, any separation for the Niners would be via the odds. But what happens if Seattle wins this game? I think you get a new NFC West favorite, and at minus 115, you'd see a big drop, and Seattle's plus 220 price to win this division would come crashing down. And Arizona, quite frankly, if they did upset Green Bay this week, and this is a Seattle win, they might also jump the Niners, who would be sat there at 2-4. The defending conference champions, much less this division, would be sat at 2-4 through 6 weeks. The Niners should not be 2-3. They have 2 blown leads already this season of double digits in the fourth quarter. In division to the Rams and the Cardinals. They should be sitting better than they are right now. They're not, and it's their fault. And now the pressure is ramped up here on a Thursday night. As far as that spread goes, I'd lean Seattle due to the fact that you're through the key field goal and now you're grabbing the hook on the other side, but it's not how I look to play this one tonight. If you look for the Seattle Seahawks, their numbers within the NFC West have moved somewhat. We see that plus 220, but at plus 154, they are still a dog to make the postseason. A lot of that is due to the fact that you're seeing the NFC North and NFC East across the board perform pretty well. The Commanders are 4-1. The Giants just beat this team. Dallas got back to 3-2. Philly's off bye. Huge favorites this weekend at 2-2. You look at the North. Lions are one of the best teams in football. Vikings are tied with the Chiefs for the best team in football. And you have above 500 right now for both Green Bay and Chicago. So that's what's holding this number down on the Seahawks right now. So much is on the line tonight. This team will be sitting at probably then above 2-1 and to try and make the postseason if they drop this game. Let's put the quarterback comparison up here. Chino Smith against Brock Purdy. Last week, MV Purdy tickets were placed. Need a big game tonight. Brock survived, surprisingly honest to me, a disastrous game against Arizona. Now, the interceptions were a bit unlucky, but they happened. He finished the game with a touchdown, 2 picks, and a loss to the Cardinals. So for Brock Purdy, I would have expected that 18-1 number to plummet. It didn't. 19-20-1 across books. And Purdy, why I placed it was the schedule, with a huge game here against Seattle, and then that game against Kansas City looming as well for Purdy. If he's going to have any chance in this race, It has to come tonight. I like them over 1.5 passing touchdowns. We have seen this defense so far this season for the Seahawks struggle now in 2 games in a row against opposing quarterbacks, allowing multiple passing touchdowns to Goff and Jones. Let's compare your running backs. Jordan Mason, Kenneth Walker, both in line for bounce backs. Now, not of the same ilk. Jordan Mason last week goes under 90 yards, doesn't find the end zone, the costly fumble. People are expecting better. I am also expecting better. But Kenneth Walker was nightmarish. Under 20 yards in that game. Barely saw the football. You'll notice here a 63.5 number. Finding the end zone right now, a minus price. It was the first game so far this year. We did not see a touchdown for Ken Walker, though that also is because he had missed a few football games. Looking at some of the skill position players tonight, Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, anytime touchdowns make a lot of sense to me as somebody who's looking for Purdy to throw 2 based off what we've seen from Seattle, who have allowed all of those passing touchdowns in the last 2 weeks to go to wide receivers. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, I still believe on a pretty consistent basis now. You're seeing some value with the JSN numbers, who has really established himself, I believe, as the number 2 wide receiver for this Seattle team. We've talked anytime touchdown scores. Again, Mason is your top dog here tonight at still nearly minus 200. I know a lot of people will be looking to pair him with Kenneth Walker. Jordan Mason's my best bet in this game. Not a touchdown. I'll explain how we attack it next here on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last 3 running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not genius.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back to right here. It's Game Time Decisions. We're on SportsGrid on this Thursday night. It is a busy one, but I know the National Football League has people hot, rightfully so. It's a great game here. You could easily argue this is the biggest game of the week. I know people will say Dallas and Detroit, fair enough. Monday night, Jets-Bills probably takes the cake, but this is a huge one. I mean, again, the Niners, who have lost both of their road games so far, a loss here, you are talking about monstrous movement. If you look right now to win the NFC, the Niners are still the favorites with some distance. They sit at plus 420, and you see the minus money on them to win the NFC West. But to win the conference, they are plus 420, while Minnesota is plus 550. Same number on Detroit, plus 650 Philly. Then you get 10-1 on Green Bay. With a loss for the Niners, how far back does this fall? Minnesota jumps them. They're on bye. They can't lose. If Detroit beats Dallas, they have to get in front of them. You would imagine. If Philly beats the Cleveland Browns as 8.5-point favorites, they'd have a shot. If Green Bay beats Arizona, who just beat the Niners, I mean, could we see the Niners with a loss tonight? And I think the Niners do win this football game. I do. I think the Seattle defense is banged up beyond belief. I think there's going to be a lot of value when Seattle gets healthy for a few-week run at it. Maybe just 1 week, but at least a few on some unders, on some sides, opponent team total, whatever it might be. That defense is just completely beaten down. But it is still a 3.5-point number. We've seen dogs win at crazy rates this season. How far does San Francisco fall? And let's think of it like this. With this game being on a Thursday, they fall behind, I think, Minnesota, Detroit, and Philly before any football games are played. And then you could, again, see Green Bay, Atlanta, Dallas, Washington. Look, I don't know. Maybe the books aren't going to go that crazy with it. But you have to see some movement. I would be stunned if you didn't, if the Niners lose this one. But there are angles on the Niners that I really like tonight. None more than Jordan Mason over 17.5 rush attempts. It's my favorite bet in this football game. He went under last week, landing at 14. It was his first under since taking over in this spot for Christian McCaffrey. But it was not a situation where he lost his job. Isaac Guerrero has not been all that great. It's not that Guerrero is outperforming him. He had 5 carries. So be it. They threw the ball quite a bit against Arizona. And all in all, Mason just didn't get there. But he's still on the season, is averaging 21 attempts per game and had rushed for 19-plus in the first 4 games of the season. And as always, I try and look at what the opponent is allowing. And if we take a look at this Seattle defense, Tyrone Tracy went for 18. Monty and Jahmyr Gibbs combined for 26. Ramondre Stevenson had 21 attempts in a game that Antonio Gibson also had 11. We saw the Broncos running backs in the opening week of the season combined for 18, and that's not even including the Audric Estime carries. That's just McLaughlin and Williams. So I'm seeing right now the only team that couldn't get a running back through this number really was a Miami Dolphins team who trailed by 14 the entire way. That's not going to happen here for the San Francisco 49ers. Even if they lose, this will be competitive throughout, and it's going to get Jordan Mason the rock. For anybody that says, hey, why attempts over yards, I think that's just where the advantage is a little bit more right now. I don't mind the longest rush prop if you want, but I did this season see Jordan Mason have a 19-carry game for just 77 yards. So if he hits 100, 120, that's great. That's fine. That's not what I'm worried about. On the Niners, I mentioned him on Brock Purdy over 1.5 passing touchdowns. He's still 16-11 on this number in his regular season career, but it's a slow start. He's only had 1 multi-passing touchdown game. He was 15-7 to this over in his young career. This is a good buy low spot on Purdy at minus 118 juice with a team that has allowed this over to cash in 2 straight games to opposing quarterbacks. Last one here is Geno Smith, under 23.5 pass completions. This is a sell-high spot. It has to be. If you look, Geno has not only gone over this in 4 straight games, Geno leads the NFL in completions by nearly 20. But that is why it is a sell-high spot. Geno's 4 games this year of 25-plus completions matches his total of all of last season. It is abnormal what we are seeing from Geno Smith, who tonight is going up against a defense in San Francisco who has yet to allow an opposing quarterback to complete 20 total passes. Now you need Geno to get to 24? I'm not buying it. I'm selling it. I'm on the under. Also because we've heard Seattle throughout the week say, we need to run it more. We need to run it more. We have to run it more. and they are going to run the football more. Because when you leave a game where you lose in your home building, touchdown favorite, and you look at that final box score and you go, how many carries did our lead dog get? 5? Yeah, run it. They might not let Geno throw in the first quarter because they're going to need to run the football here with Ken Walker tonight. Charbonnet a little bit as well. That is a fix that you're going to see here, and it leads me to this under. For the Seattle end of it, because we did hit that Niners big picture portion, for the Seahawks to win here, you go to 4-2. It's a nice win to put on the resume, and I think you jump to divisional favorites. And at that point, if you jump to divisional favorites, who cares about conference odds, playoff odds? You see your path, right? Your path is win the NFC West, and if you're able to do that, you're going to get a home playoff game. If you're the Seahawks, you cannot ask for much more than that. I preseason said, I wasn't able to find the number, I would have bet the field versus the Niners to win this division. Now, I've changed my tune a little bit through the opening season because the Niners kind of found a way to get a little bit healthier. I know they're without McCaffrey, but they've been able to get healthier quicker. The Rams are not looking great, and I'm not buying Arizona as some sneaky team as much as I think many others are. But again, a win here for the Seahawks. I fully believe they become divisional favorites. Major League Baseball, WNBA. We'll hit that with you right here. It is SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last 3 running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back with you right here on SportsGrid. It's Game Time Decisions. Kevin Walsh with you. We've got Donnie Rightside on deck, which is going to be great. We'll get into the NFL. You know that. We're going to get into Major League Baseball. We've got runs already in Cleveland. Detroit Guardians strike first, which is huge. But Detroit is looking to answer. The opening inning, 2 straight singles for the Guardians, and then 2 outs. But Thomas gets a base knock. That's Lane Thomas. Gets the base knock, mates it 1-0. But how about Parker Meadows? Leadoff double. So Detroit, right back in the mix there. Live numbers do have the Guardians as minus 140 favorites. That feels strong. I know they're pregame favorites. I know they're up 1-0. But a man on second, you would project Detroit to tie this game. It's interesting that the 7.5 is still the total. Pregame 6.5, you could buy an expensive flat 7 if you wanted. The Nerfy was very expensive in this game. And if you get runs from both teams, I know you wouldn't push towards an 8, but man, 7.5 is a little interesting there if you're betting the live baseball, to me at least. Detroit plus 1.5, minus 165. It's a little expensive as well, but certainly a game we'll be keeping our eyes on, and you know we'll be keeping our eyes as well on Royals. Yankees, I do believe the New York Yankees will close this game out tonight. I am on Garrett Cole, over 17.5 outs recorded. Really interested to get Donnie's thoughts on that bet. I know he'll give it to me honest, but I think this is a spot where they just let him go. This is one of those things, man. It's like, you're the ace, you're the guy, run it. It's not like we haven't seen the aces in this league where they're not given those chances, right? Zach Wheeler, game number 1, goes 7 innings. Skubal's gone 7 innings plus. Don't be foolish enough to think Garrett Cole isn't of that pedigree, even if he was injured to start this season. Again, Garrett Cole went 6 or more innings in 7 of his last 8 regular season starts, pitched 5 in game number 1 of this series, and went out there for the 6th. The difference in game 1 versus the game here tonight is there was a lot more pressure, I believe, on the New York Yankees in game number 1, where not that if Garrett Cole is getting shelled, they'll just leave him out there mindlessly, but if the score is 3-1 Yankees, and in the first batter in the 6th inning gets a base hit, I don't think Aaron Boone runs to the bullpen. I think Garrett Cole might throw a baseball at his head, quite frankly, if he tries to do that. So I think Cole tonight is money for over the 17.5 outs recorded. Not the only big game in New York, though. Liberty Lynx. It is a little tempting, though, to talk about the WNBA Finals opening on a Thursday instead of a Friday, and how ridiculous that is. Because it is ridiculous. Why would that be? Again, I'm sure there's plenty out there who have brought this up to bash this league. I am legitimately a fan of the WNBA. I was at the finals last year watching the Liberty and the Aces. I feel bad. I feel bad the degree to which this is swept under the rug. That is not how this should be. This has been a breakout year for the W. Now, I know it's been cloudy. I know it's been a lot. I get that. But the coverage has absolutely blossomed. And it's as if you're punting on hitting another gear when you get to the finals by running it out there on a Thursday. Double Major League Baseball, Yanks are playing, and, of course, Thursday Night Football. And that's the main thing. Every sport out there has learned. Get away from the NFL, right? I mean, look, with the way the NFL's doing it, the NBA might do Christmas Eve moving forward, although the NFL will try and, mosey their way into there, right? I mean, we know how this stuff works. And again, it's why tonight, right? We're getting to it. We're getting to it, but we're not getting it to the degree that I wish we were. And that's because of everything else. It doesn't command that attention on a Thursday. On a Friday show, this is lead. It really is. I don't know. It bothers me. It does. I know most of you probably don't care. I'll say this here for this series. The threes made leader is, I think, the best series leader bet you can place with Sabrina Ionescu at plus 125. I know Bridget Carlton and Kayla McBride can shoot it. I know. None of them can match the Ionescu volume, though. And here on the finals, I don't expect Sab to slow down even slightly. I actually think she is a little bit tempting to win finals MVP, just not at the number. Stewie is not being respected enough at plus 120. Breanna Stewart, as much as Aja is the best player in the league, Stewie is still the second best player in this league. And Stewie outplayed Aja Wilson when those two just met. Breanna Stewart is the league's MVP just a year ago. If I was getting 5-1, 6-1 on Ionescu, that would be interesting. This is Jaylen Brown beating out Jason Tatum. But to be honest with you, Stewie holds way more weight than Jason Tatum does. Look for Stewie tonight to go over 13.5 rebounds plus assists. We've got Donnie on deck.
right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last 3 running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Back to right here. We're on SportsGrid on a Thursday night, which means we're joined by Donnie Rightside. DRS, how we feeling?
Feeling good, charged up, ready to go. Thursday night football, the playoffs. My Phillies are out. Can't be a better day, man. What a day.
We do have one game live right now, which is Detroit and Cleveland. Tigers lead off double, no runs. That hurts. That hurts. Books go up, and this is, I guess, what happens with a low-scoring projected. Minus 230 because you have a 1-0 lead after the end of one inning?
I mean, just watching Major League Baseball the way it's been right now, Kevin, 1-0 might as well be 15-0 in the regular season as teams try to mount hits. And you saw in the bottom of that inning a leadoff double. It's like, dude, push him over to third, drive him in. That's not the way it's played anymore at this point. You're looking for multiple hits in an inning just to score a run. Every hitter matters, as I should say, and it's no surprise there. 1-0. How long is it going to be 1-0 for? 6th, 7th, 8th inning? We'll find out.
Yeah, I think, to me, if I were to look live, and I know I just mentioned that the 7.5 looked a little bit light, I would have expected them to score the run. Tigers getting a 1.5, you're covering. Again, if this is all going to be so low scoring, I don't think that's terrible. I am, Donnie, mentioning earlier with the Royals-Yankees game, my best bet in this one is Garrett Cole over 17.5 outs.
Yes.
But pitching in the postseason is tricky. It's volatile. It's a different game. Tell me, what do you think when you see that number tonight, needing 6 innings for Garrett Cole?
We're going to get it. And it's one of those games where, and certainly you can be wrong, and taking the favorites usually doesn't work out all that well, specifically heavy favorites in the playoffs, really 140 to 150. But if I'm looking at Garrett Cole, here's what I'm focusing on right now. He came on late in the season. He should be energized. This isn't an end of the year where it's like, man, he's got 200-plus innings under his belt. I don't know how he's going to hold up in the playoffs, and he's going to start to break down. Kevin, his last 30 days, 96 batters he's faced. You know I love myself some ISO power number. If you never heard that number before, 150 to 160 is average in Major League Baseball. If you're a pitcher, you want to be below that. You know what he's been? 047. Tremendous. Well, weighted on base percentage, 325 is the average. He's at 231 combined from those 96 batters. Take a look now at the lineup here for the Kansas City Royals and where they're going to struggle. Michael Massey, Bobby Witt, good numbers against right-handed pitching over the past 30 days. This isn't their everyday right-handed pitcher, one of the best pitchers in the league. After that, Kevin, Pasquantino, 0 ISO power number. Salvi, 070. Gurriel, 056. Melendez, 118. Pham, 113. Michael Garcia, 059. Isbell's in there to 194, so he checks out. We're looking at a lineup that hasn't done all that well against common right-handed pitching, and now you're going up against one of the best. This is one of those few times where I'm willing to lay this price on the road because this is what you got the guy for, and he should be able to shut it down. But you know what I like even more? Under in this game.
Yeah, okay, under. And that number's checking in at an 8, Donnie.
9 beat you? No way. We're going under.
Yeah. Is that a fade of Waka? Like, sometimes we talk about line reading. Does that total even make you feel better about the Yankees? Because it can't be Garrett Cole that's forcing that.
Well, here's the thing, though. You go back 60 days here and just take a look at the XFIP numbers. Waka's got very good numbers. So it's not as if it's in name only is it a pitching mismatch. On the field itself, Waka's got good numbers. So this game screams to me, Kevin, 4-3, 3-2, 3-1. I think it's how it's going to play out.
Let me ask you about what is becoming one of the big stories for the Yankees, despite the 2-1 lead. It's Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
And it's not unfair. Aaron Judge so far in these playoffs is 1-for-11.
Mm-hmm.
He's walked in every game. That's great. If you're Judge, if you're going to hang your hat on, hey, I'm walking, well, you got to walk more then. Okay?
Yeah.
That is not good enough to have 11 at-bats, 1 hit, and be like, hey, I've walked in every game. What do you make of Aaron Judge? Would you tell people you could try and buy low on the props? Do you completely back off? Because this is one of the game's best, and he's obviously really struggling.
No, baseball's a lot different than football. Let's just say where it's a buy low number, and we'll go with tonight, Brandon Ayuk, let's just say.
Yep.
And forget about what he did last week. Let's just say Ayuk was 20 yards first game, 30 yards second game. You get the point. Hasn't even crossed 50 yards. Say, it's got to get close. Well, you know where you would bet it is you say, okay, well, he had 13 targets last game, and Purdy only hit him with 4 of those targets. If he keeps getting those targets, Kevin, he's eventually going to convert. Not the same in baseball.
Yeah.
If you're not hitting the baseball, you don't just wake up one day and be like, it gets easier. No, the pressure really ramps up until you see Aaron Judge return back to MVP form. He's off my card. He just is.
And here's what's kind of puzzling me, and this is not one of my, the playoffs are the worst thing of all time baseball rants.
Yeah.
So those are always out there looming. But Judge Donnie, again, 1-for-11, terrible. Batted .322 in the regular season, right? And it's not like, he's a power hitter. Bobby Witt is batting .182. He's 4 hits and 22 at-bats.
Yeah.
I can't figure out. I can't. Is it, Bobby's also shrinking in the moment? Is that what's going on here?
It's not necessarily that. You're taking a look at once you get to the playoffs, why do you have big home run numbers, big RBI numbers, and great at-bats during the regular season, Kevin? Because every other day, it's a really bad pitcher. You're in the playoffs now. There is no tomorrow. High leverage situations, you're getting the best guy out of the bullpen. Pitchers that are going to be starting, they're given direct orders. You're not pitching this guy. Here's how you're pitching. If you have to walk him, so be it. And also, when you're talking about a guy struggling at the plate, Kevin, that ball's 6 inches off the plate that typically in the month of August, I'm not swinging at that ball.
Yeah.
Now you're pressing, and now you're swinging at it. And also, the temperatures are no longer, Kevin, 92 degrees in humidity in the Bronx here. You're looking at games in the mid-60s to low 60s without the wind helping you. There's a lot of factors that go into it, but I think mostly it's just the pressure. He's an unbelievable player, Kevin, in the regular season.
Yeah.
Hasn't translated into the playoffs yet, not even this year or past.
No, but here's again, I'll ramp it up a bit further. Of the 5 best batting averages in Major League Baseball in the regular season, 4 of them are in the playoffs.
Yes.
Judge, Bobby, Arise, Ohtani.
Yeah.
Ohtani is the clubhouse leader at a .250 batting average.
Yes.
Louis Arise batting .222.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I get it. They say pitching wins in the postseason, but well, does it if everybody all of a sudden is the greatest pitcher you've ever seen? It makes things very odd. Let's ramp it up another level, right? We'll project out to tomorrow, Donnie. I cannot believe that the Padres. Now, I'm not as high on them as you were.
Yeah.
They lost both Dylan Cease games, and this series is still going on. None of that makes sense to me.
Yeah, we talked about it on Moneyline where it's like, let me get this straight. The Dodgers with that massive payroll are going to go into a closeout situation, not for them, against them, and say, we're going to go complete bullpen and throw a shutout. Here's also the tough part. Again, the good bullpens are in the playoffs. We get that. But as a batter, you're also looking at, Kevin, it's rare. Like usually it's say, okay, I can expect that pitcher to go 6 innings, which means I'm probably going to get 3 at-bats, maybe 1 at-bat later against a high-leverage closer. You might get 3 of your at-bats with different pitchers in a ball game. That's hard, and they're designed to get you out personally. That's why they're in the game.
Yeah, I think it's a point well made. I just think it's been very, very interesting to see where, typically we would say, all right, maybe let's try and buy low, but the thing is, you're actually not really getting very cheap numbers. I'll just pull up the FD number. Judge tonight, 2+ hits, runs, RBI, -175.
Yeah.
You're not. Usually, again, we see stars struggling, like you just said, right? Hey, Brandon Ayuk bounce back.
Yes.
Not only is it not the same thing of a bounce back in Major League Baseball, but that would be the equivalent of Brandon Ayuk's number being 93.5 heading into a football game there, which I think makes it even more trickier. I think then the follow-up question becomes, within these future markets here for Major League Baseball, like right now, I don't know, I see the Royals are 25-1 to win the World Series. Guardians are 14-1. I don't know. It feels like nobody should be that long. If you're in the playoffs, with the way we're watching these playoffs play out.
Yeah, but also the reason why the betting markets are like that, because you have the decided favorites now. Like the Mets are coming on strong, but still it's going to be the Padres, still it's going to be the Dodgers in the National League. And at the same time, you're flipping over to the American League. It's a one-way ticket right now. It's either you're on the Yankees or everybody else is an extreme long shot. And I do believe that because the Yankees are better than the Guardians. The Yankees are better than the Tigers. The Yankees are better than the Royals. So it's like, Donnie, would you take a flyer on the Royals? No, because I don't think they can actually win the World Series. But here's the thing. If you're going to take the flyer on the Royals, you take it tonight because they're supposed to get beat. They're a heavy underdog. If they win tonight, that number drops almost in half because now you get put on that even playing field. You no longer saying, whoa, we got to go on the road, but Garrett Cole's out of the equation. Maybe he can come in for an inning if that's possible in a miracle save situation if they need him. But if you are taking the Royals, it's going to be tonight. But you know what, Kevin? I'm not taking the Royals because it's not tonight for them. Yanks win.
Yeah, I think for me, the one, again, if there is like some type of selling point here, is see if at any point you can get the teams on bye if they advance, which would be the Dodgers, the Yankees, or the Guardians, and see if they can start playing with some regularity. Because who's the first team that advances through? Oh, the Mets, who had to play the doubleheader also, right? Like, and I know Atlanta was eliminated in 2 games to San Diego, but again, in every other sport, they both would have already been DOA, and instead the Mets are the first team that have made it through here. And we'll see how that looks. That NLCS begins Sunday. The ALCS will begin on Monday. We'll talk some football. We've got Donnie Rightside here live in person on Game Time Decisions.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take the Bruins.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last 3 running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back to right here. It's Game Time Decisions. Kevin Walsh, Donnie Rightside, DRS. You and I, today, we were able to chat a little bit on the Moneyline side for those that are hanging out with us on SportsGrid Radio about the New York Jets. We've also, found out that Todd Downing is now going to be the offensive coordinator.
Oh, wow.
I literally do not know what Nate Hackett's job is with this football team whatsoever. The Jets are playing, I think, all things considered, what has to probably be the biggest game of the week, that Monday nighter, which will be, of course, here live and in person for What do you make of this game here as we sit on a Thursday with all of the outside stuff heading into it?
It feels like a must-win for the Jets, but more importantly, it's a must-win for Aaron Rodgers himself because you can actually vindicate yourself, Kevin, within a 5-day period if it turns out you beat a division rival, Buffalo Bills, and say, okay, now it's still going to be our division. I told you it wasn't my fault. I told you it was Robert Salah, even though he's my best friend, and I begged the owner not to get rid of him. Even though the owner got rid of him, I didn't want that to happen is what he's trying to play off right now. But this just feels like it was a big game to begin with, which we had a lot of fun talking about. It's going to go a long way who's going to be able to win the AFC East. But it just feels now, Kev, that you're looking at this game saying, like, win or lose, it's a big deal. Win, which means Aaron Rodgers wins in the public eye. Lose, I mean, you got to be, the darts are coming out Tuesday morning.
Well, that's, again, it's funny how these NFL schedules work, right? When it's like, oh, man, we really need one.
Yeah.
The Eagles, for example. The Eagles need one this week. In come the Browns.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you this. I will be stunned if I don't end up on Cleveland catching the points.
Wow.
But let's put that aside for a second, right, Donnie?
Oh, 9.5.
It's a big number, right? The Niners tonight need one. I'd love something a little easier than going to Seattle. The Jets need one.
Yeah.
And it's Buffalo off 2 straight losses. I don't think Josh Allen's ever lost 3 straight games in his career. Like, that is about as bad as you could possibly get. And I don't think it helps that you're at home because now the expectations are even higher. And, oof, will those Boo Birds be out if that team is not moving the football? We know that.
And I know the Boo Birds will be out on the Buffalo Bills, too, once they get home. Like, what happened? We were 3-0. You come back home. Now we're 3-3 at this point. And then we're talking about Josh Allen trying to be the MVP at a really big price there. But you need Khalil Shakir to be healthy. But if we're just talking about the Jets also, doesn't this feel like if the Jets win that game Monday night, Aaron Rodgers walks in the owner's booth and goes, I told you we're a better football team. You said this is the best team we had in 25 years. Let's put those chips even more and get Devontae Adams. Because if they lose, how do you sell that to the owner? Well, look, we didn't win, and we got rid of the coach. Can we get a great wide receiver? I know you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. It's going to blow up our salary cap in a year and a half, but this is what I need. I need to have the best players at every position. My name is Aaron Rodgers, or I can't win.
Again, I do think when you're kind of going at things logically, lacking self-awareness, Donnie, a lose, he might be like, even better.
Oh,
like, I told you we needed Devontae Adams. Where Donnie, like, with a win, he'd be like, I shouldn't have won this without him, kind of thing.
Goodness.
But again, like, this is what I love. Like, they win the game without Robert Saleh. And the amount of people that are currently pushing this is not Rodgers-based. If they win the game, Rodgers was right. Well, he's what? I thought he wasn't involved. What do you mean he's right?
Did you see Sauce Gardner's comments today?
No.
You're going to love these. We love that guy. We're playing for Robert Saleh this weekend. We having a mutiny? Is there a mutiny that's about to happen here?
Can I ask you something? In your football career, I'm being serious.
Yes.
Did you ever play on a team where one side of the football was significantly better than the other? I did.
No.
I did.
Yeah.
I played offensive line. I felt bad for our defense many a game.
Oh, my God. Why?
We could not throw the football.
Yeah.
Our offense was outdated, too. Like, we didn't accept that it was the 2010s. Like, we were still out there power eye on 3rd and 12 kind of situation.
Pullback dive.
And our defense, Donnie, they would try, right? And, like, once every 2 weeks, they'd be like, come on, boys, you can move the ball.
Yeah.
And we were all sat there like, no, we cannot.
No, we can't.
And but Donnie, it'll create a divide.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, and I know people out there probably laughing like, this kid's using his high school football team.
Look.
I am. It translates. Donnie, that is the Sauce Gardner, Quentin Williams. You know, these guys that are all going to break the bank playing under Robert Saleh. Watch that guy walk out the door. I am telling you, this stuff is not good. You are creating a divide in that locker room. Rodgers guys and everybody else.
You know why you have the divide, too? Because you're not winning football games. There's no divide when you're 6-0. You can hate your coach. You can hate your defensive coordinator. You can hate the quarterback. But, hey, man, we're winning, so we're going to do it.
And somebody go ask Breece Hall how much, which side he's on right now. You would think that kid plays linebacker. I guarantee it. Garrett Wilson, ask him how he feels. I know he had 20 targets, but he missed them on a bing, bang, boom touchdown. The energy on that football team is not right.
I'm telling you, even when we talked about, like, the wide receiver room, Aaron Rodgers is another wide out. And then Garrett Wilson goes, did you watch that double move I put on when I was going to walk in the end zone, we were going to win, you overthrew me? I need another quarterback. We don't need another wide receiver.
Well, I'd like to know, like, where's Alan Lazard land on this? Be like, hey, Aaron, am I still wide receiver 2 when Devontae comes in? Or, like, am I getting pushed down the depth chart? Like, he's trying to find that rhythm there. Let me just sneak something in here quickly because I think we're both surprising one another. We mentioned the Eagles Browns line, 9.5. I fully expect to be on Cleveland. I am very surprised to see the Eagles favored. And you know that that's my Super Bowl pick. I am surprised to see them favored by that much against any team in the league.
But here's the thing that you're looking at. There's also a referendum about to happen on the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, granted, they're 2-2 into the bye. They're going to get their best football players back. They're going to be rested and ready against a team with their third straight road game, ready to absolutely implode in that locker room from a quarterback standpoint all the way down.
Yeah.
If you put the screws to Cleveland, and I don't mean, Kevin, you're up at the half 7 points. End of the third quarter, it's 10 points. Deshaun's trying to get back there. The Eagles finally find a pass rush because Deshaun gets sacked like 5 times a game. So this is like the perfect bullseye scenario for the Philadelphia Eagles to lay them out. If the Eagles do not cover that 9.5-point spread, if the Eagles win this game 23-20, I got to be out on the Eagles the rest of the way. It will be that bad.
I guess even for me, and not that this is like the design when you grab this many points, but Don, the score's 24-13 Browns football.
Yeah.
They kicked the field goal to make it a one-possession game. Like, I know I'm kind of narrowly getting to the number. I also just think, too, somewhat with the way we've seen the NFL this season, like, I can't believe anybody's laying touchdowns with what we've seen here so far this year. One game that is a touchdown number, though it's dropping a little, involves your least favorite quarterback in the league possibly getting his debut in Drake May against the Houston Texans. Some are saying if Drake May doesn't win that game outright, he could possibly be
He might not
traded.
even be on the team, but he might be off the team by Sunday night. How about that with Drake May? Take his rushing yards to the over, but also no Nico. They can hang around. No Nico in that game.
We'll be right back on Game Time Decisions.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last 3 running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Plus 120. Back with you right here. Game Time Decisions live on a Thursday night. It means we have Thursday night football. Niners, Seahawks, Donnie. The inactives came out. Tre'Davious Ward is going to miss this game. Then we got Tre'Davious Ward. Again, the Seahawks defense is so banged up.
It is.
Which is, I think, really such a big part of this game. Where have you started to place action tonight?
I'm looking. I definitely Mason's going to score a touchdown tonight. It's expensive, so it's a parlay piece, as we like to say. I also think Deebo Samuel is going to get back in the mix. I love the fact that Mason is the lead dog. There's not really a secondary running back that you're saying is going to take away from him, which is Deebo Samuel, which means he's going to get 3 to 4 carries. I think Deebo is legitimate for a touchdown tonight. Brandon Ayuk, I think, has a good performance. I also have a parlay in there, Kevin, that just includes his 1 touchdown pass from each one of the quarterbacks. You know, I love that. The 2 sometimes is a tough hurdle for God knows what reason for Brock Purdy. It just is, but you know he's going to throw 1. So I'm sticking to the punches here where I need Mason to have a good night. I also need Brandon Ayuk to have a decent night, but more importantly, if I hit the center tonight, I think Deebo is a nice bounce-back spot, where they got him in receiving yards, where they have him in rushing and receiving, and I also think he finds pay dirt.
So I'm coming into this game. I have a no sweat. I think that's a little different to me.
Yep.
I don't have any yardage straight wagers out there tonight. I think Ken Walker's in line for a bounce back. I hope I didn't overthink it, Donnie. I played Jordan Mason attempts over yards. It's not that I don't think he gets the yards, but he has this year. He has a game with 19 carries, 77 yards.
Yes.
In the same vein of anybody out there's like, I got to get an 85 tonight. Okay, don't you have him getting 20 carries? I have over 17 and a half rush attempts in this game. But I think there's going to be a lot of really good chances for us tonight because you have big play players. And one of the things that you'll see in these markets, and we're going to hit this, I think, a little bit more on our in-game coverage tonight. It'll be me, Donnie, and then Lisi, of course, as well. Alt yardage live, Donnie.
Yes.
40+, 60+, because I think the phrase I always love, 10 bell players here.
Yes.
We have stars.
Yes.
5
and
per
bad
team?
defenses. And theoretically, Donnie, how the 49ers? No, the 49ers are giving up yards, specifically on the ground. The reason we bring up yards on the ground and why it makes the most sense tonight is you're looking at controlling the game. Let's just say Walker goes for, let's use light yards, 60-plus yards, and then 60-plus yards for Mason. You know what that means? That play-action pass, and you got big play threats down the field. DK Metcalf sort of slowed up last week. You saw the Giants, of all teams, run wild against the Seattle Seahawks. Mason's a better running back than any guy they have. And also on the flip side, James Conner put in work last week. Kenneth Walker, he can put in work this week. It's the perfect storm. And also, that under number, the 49.5 to the 48.5, like we do have juice tonight. And I do understand that it's a Thursday night football game. Also understand it's division rivals that know each other well. But I just look at these two defenses. In the past, we used to say, like, oh, my goodness, the 12s and the Legion of Boom going up against the Niners, that's 13-12. That's no longer the case. This is an offensive football game. Now, do they get the 50 points? We'll find out. But that ball will be moved tonight.
Look, there's a world that let me see when these teams play again. I'm just going to assume it's like back end of the season, November type of stuff.
Yeah.
November 17th. There's a world that total's like 43.5, and it's not wrong.
Yeah.
It's these defenses are injured. And again, it's both sides of the ball. Let me ask you something, Donnie, in the NFC outright market.
Yes.
The Niners enter tonight as favorites in the game, so they are holding on to their status right now as favorites in the conference.
Yes.
Plus 420, though, the margins have tightened. If they lose, you're now looking at a 2-4 football team.
Yes.
How many teams do you think reasonably could jump San Fran if they lose tonight's game?
In the NFC as a whole?
Yes.
A couple teams will be able to do that. Because let's just take a look at the NFC West. They're minus 115. They win tonight. They're still on an even playing field, theoretically, with the rest of the division. They lose tonight, which, as you said, the Seahawks jump up 2 games and have the tiebreaker at this point. But also, Kevin, you're now looking at, in the past, it was like, we don't even care if the 49ers lose. They're going to be fine at the end of the year. Do we know that? With the record they have already? And it's not like, boy, they played the Chiefs twice, they played the Ravens twice, they played the Bills on the road. What did you want them to do? No, they've lost to bad football teams, which means they might be a bad football. They lose tonight, they might actually be a bad football team.
And that's why I really believe you will see Minnesota, Detroit, and Philly, before anything even happens Sunday, get right in front of them.
Yes.
I think Seattle becomes the division favorite.
It does, yes.
Which means they're 19-1 right now. I think you're looking at at minimum, let's call it like this, the Niners at plus 420 are 10-1 or greater, I think, if they lose this game tonight to win the conference.
And I love this, too, because at the end of the night, we'll be able to talk about that. And you might be able to say, like, we weren't worried about the Niners, 28-17 winner. Or we could look at it and be like, oh, my goodness, another guy got injured, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, where do they go from here? And they lost the football game? Watch out.
And again, where you are not playing a fat and happy Seattle. You're playing a team that's
embarrassed.
Again, kind of twice in a row. Detroit lit that team up, and then the Giants went to their building. For a lot of the game, deserved it, then stole it with what should have been obviously a flag on that field goal block. Seattle could be tuned up. It's going to be a big one, and the pregame coverage continues right now here. Casey Hudson, Tom Vecchio, Dave Sharapan, and Adam Kaufman, all on Sports Grid.